Lady Lily back with another video, and this is going to be the review of the Wendy Williams movie that premiered on Lifetime last night, Saturday evening. The stars were Sierra Payton, who played Wendy Williams. Some of her feature work has included The Oval, General Hospital, NCIS, All My Children, and then she have done a couple of Tyler Perry Madea movies. Her co-star was Morocco Omari, who played her husband Kevin Hunter. You know him for being most in Empire, most recently P-Valley, 21 Bridges, Half Past Dead 2, and many others. So the movie opens up with Wendy as a child. And we all know that she tend to have struggled with her weight. Her parents was pretty rough on her, as they would make her do like tuna fish, what was it, tuna chickens? Was it tuna fish and mustard, or chicken salad and mustard? They try to put her on this diet. She ends up breaking a chair at a birthday party of her friends. They were playing musical chairs. Wendy would have an ongoing battle as in her youth with her weight. She made a vow, she made a commitment that she will go off to college and she will have this fabulous career in radio. So Wendy will go off to college. She would get her start in radio. She would work in like Washington, D.C. And then she would go to Philadelphia, then she'll be in New York. So while she was doing this radio, trying to find her way in radio, she picked up a drug habit. She said part of this was due to her working late nights. It helped her be able to be up, be vibrant, be alert, as well as the drugs helped her to keep her weight down. So she said she was a functioning cocaine user, and she said she didn't miss work, she didn't miss a beat, and she had did drugs for plenty of years. Wendy ended up having a situation in which she had interviewed an R&B artist, which she does not name. She didn't name the person in the movie. She didn't even name the person in the documentary part that aired immediately after the movie. But apparently she had interviewed him. He had invited her to a party, but he said he had to go back to his hotel room. He would go back to the hotel room and say he had to change, and he would come out wrapped up in a towel, and he would end up forcing himself onto her and raping her. So she said instead of her, she was dumb. She said she was naive. She ended up, engaging. Well, he forced her into engaging the act. The act didn't last too long, by the way. Then he had a nerve to hit her on the leg saying, you can let yourself out. Then he has the nerve to jump back into the shower. She said she didn't want to mention him in the documentary part of the evening because she said he was a one-hit wonder anyway, and he just was not worth it. But she said she made a vow to never be silenced, never to be silenced, never to be used, and she moved on for it. Wendy would eventually continue to work her way up and move her way through various radio stations back and forth between like Philadelphia, New York, D.C. She would eventually start dating Eric B. I think of Eric B. and Rakim. And she discovered that he didn't have a car. Made it seem like he was getting the car worked out. Anyway, he would end up borrowing her car and causing her to be late to work because she needed her car by a certain time so she can go to work. So because she loved him and cared about him, she would go on to just rent him a car. And he kept the car out so long that the rental car place ended up having her but it was putting a warrant out for her, like an APP out, a warrant out to get her arrested. And then she said that actually, ended up kind of jacking her credit up because he didn't turn the car on. He turned the car in. He would eventually turn in the car, but it jacked up her credit, and then she would she would end the relationship. She goes on to mention that shortly after Rakim, she did get married, but it only lasted 5 months, and she said it was no storyline or worth mentioning her about getting married. So she just mentioned she got married. And now enters Kevin Hunter. She met him at a party. He ended up writing his number down on a matchbook, and matchbook is the book that holds the matches that you light for your cigarettes, for young people who don't know. But old school, that's how you can tell it was back in the early 90s, late 80s, because now you just, put your number in the phone. Well, hey, give me your number. I'm going to ring you. That's the number pop up. That's my number. Lock it in. So the way we gave out numbers back in the day, was totally different. So, he gave her number. She stumbled across the number while she was cleaning out her purse. So she gave him a call, told him to meet her after work one evening. Met up. They had, some substance and some solo cuffs, and it was on and popping from there. So the rest was history. They would end up establishing a relationship. She decided to get plastic surgery, get her boobs done. He supported her on that. She ended up kicking her drug habit. She said it took her 4 days. She went straight cold turkey, and she got off the drugs. He also will go to protect her, because one day she had been going back and forth, on the radio, talking about Diddy, talking about the group Toto. Like, she was just going in, saying they was broke bees. They sold, they had a bad album. I mean, not a bad album, but they had a bad deal. Puffy was being cheap with them and playing them. So one day they showed up to the radio station to jack her up, and Kevin actually came to the rescue, because she didn't want to go out there and confront them, but he was able to break through, calm everybody down, and got them out the way, or at least got her out the way. So after that, she knew he was the real deal. Wendy would end up becoming pregnant. The first time she suffered a miscarriage after 5 months, but she said, we're going to try again. So she got pregnant again. 5 months. She suffered a miscarriage. So Kevin was really supportive during that time with her. She was saying that she felt like God was punishing her because she was talking about people, because she was starting to, at this point in her career, she was starting to be shock jock status. So she'd be getting out the juicy details, saying stuff, and just going celebrities didn't really feel like they wanted to deal with her, because they know she was rough. She gonna bring out the dirt and all that stuff. So she felt like part of it was, she'd been mean and talked about people, and then the other half was it that she felt like maybe God wasn't honoring her to have a baby, was because her and Kevin was not married. They would eventually go ahead, get married. And she's explained in the documentary that they both really didn't want to get married. She had been married before. She wasn't into the foo-foo wedding day dress, and he really was it was no big deal. But they would go on to Justice of Peace, get married, and she would end up getting pregnant for the third time. So the doctor pretty much found out what was wrong with her. It was something with her cervix. So I think she had an incompetent cervix, meaning that she had to, she couldn't be on her feet too long, and she pretty much would have to be on bed rest for most of her pregnancy. So she had agreed to allow the radio station to allow her to work from home in her bed. She said she hadn't missed a beat, haven't missed an interview, and she was able to still pull off a fantastic show and be healthy and stay off her feet while she grew her baby. So she would end up giving birth to her one and only son. So she had a boy, and life was good. You know, she had her husband, she had her baby, she was climbing up, you know, career-wise. So everything was on the up and up. Everything was everything, right? So one evening while Wendy had woke up out of her sleep looking at the baby, but she noticed that Kevin was not in the bed next to her, she would get up and overhear him on the phone talking to someone about giving her money, doing whatever, taking care of her. And then he was talking about it was some chick that he, you know, had a one-nighter with. But I believe this is the chick that he would go on the cheat with for many, many years. So he continued to cheat. He ended up purchasing a home and having cars there, and you know, the woman's clothes. And Wendy found out because I believe Charlemagne the God, she used to work with Charlemagne the God, had told her where he was living at, where this other house was at, what he was doing. And she went there, and she went through the house taking pictures, saying this is what my money was paying for. And then she had spray paint on the door, on the garage door, you know, Wendy and Kevin forever. And then from there, you know, he came, he confronted her and convinced her to take him back. You know, Wendy wanted to leave then, but she wanted to hold on because she wanted to keep this arrangement up together for the sake of her son. So, you know, she stayed with him. She continued to climb. She put out a book. She get the Wendy Williams show. But, you know, she made it seem like Kevin was doing business for her, not to put him out. But really, Wendy was always making moves behind the scenes. She just made Kevin feel like he was doing stuff. But in reality, it was her making moves. So she put out the book. She get the shows. And, you know, life is grand. But Kevin is still cheating, still doing what he doing. But meanwhile, you know, Wendy's trying to, you know, hold it together. So we all know that eventually, you know, Wendy have a meltdown. And she passes out on her show. They convinced her, Kevin convinced her to go to rehab just to clear her head and refocus. And while she was in rehab, she discovered that Kevin got the mistress pregnant. So she would, you know, bust up out of there, told him she was leaving. She was reclaiming her show because she knew she was on her way out with her marriage and her situation. So she said, at least let me go and pretty much reclaim my show. So we all know that Kevin Hunter ended up, the mistress ended up having a baby. She had a baby girl, which devastated Wendy, because as you know, the second child that she miscarried was a girl. So it was really a sore spot for her because that another woman actually gave him the girl that she could not give him. So she felt, you know, some type of way from that. She went on and she pursued the divorce. I believe the divorce is still going on as of the moment. They're split. Wendy did go on to do a documentary that came on right after. But the interesting part was, I mean, it was Postman showing her like where she at currently. But in the midst of it, I felt like she was just recapping the whole movie for us. Like she was recapping the movie, and you could tell they probably shot this a little bit because I believe her mother just died. So they had mom and dad and her brother, like he was getting along with her. So this, we can tell this probably wasn't shot like recently within the last month or so. This part was, you know, shot months in advance because we know the mother is deceased at this point. Her and the brother is beefing right now. So yeah, but yeah, I end up like not finishing watching the documentary just because I felt like she was just repeating the movie. So I end up turning. So what did I think of? I think it was what it was. I don't think we had an expectation for Wendy Williams because I think part of it, we kind of knew the story a little bit. And then, I mean, there was some things we learned, like we probably didn't know about all the miscarriages. I didn't know about Eric B. She dated Eric B. Didn't know she was married prior to Kevin. Didn't know she was raped by a one-hit wonder. So there were some tidbits of things that I remember. I'm trying to think, did I read the book or not? I thought I read the book, or I was going to get the book to read, but it makes me want to go back now and read the book. I don't think I read it. Did I read it? I don't know. I can't recall, because that book came out many years ago. So I would have thought that I did read it. But now I think I'm interested in going back and rereading it. If I did read it, I can't remember. But I think I want to go back and read it if I have not read it. So, yeah, overall, I thought it was okay for what it was worth. We knew her movie. I think the expectations wasn't high from the jump. And I think we just knew that... we knew her movie would be a different dynamic from like a Salt and Pepper or a New Edition or the Clark Sisters. So I figured it would be maybe, a downscale, but I think it was, it was what it was, and I think it was okay. It wasn't bad, but I think it did, like, towards the end of it, it just turned into how she went wrong with Kevin. And I wish it would have focused a little bit more on the work part of it, because I felt like often it was just breezing through the work parts, and that the movie was really centered around their relationship towards the end. So I would have liked them to dig a little deeper about the work stuff, or I know she really didn't. I thought she would have talked a little more about Charlemagne the God, because they mentioned in the interview that he was really close to Wendy Williams, and that she actually, gave him a place to stay, and him and Kevin was actually, homeboys. But it's like she didn't include him, even though he played like somewhat of a significant role in her life. Because I had watched the interview with Sierra Payton. Let me see. I wrote it down. Was Sierra Payton and Morocco Amari. So I watched their interview with the Breakfast Club. So they was just saying, like, there was things that, that was left out about her relationship with Charlemagne, and yeah, and even Sierra Payton said she didn't have a lot of interaction with Wendy. They had a couple of conversations, never met in person. It was like phone and Zoom. But she only had a couple of conversations with Wendy, and they told her to go ahead and do it. But people had kept telling her she looked like Wendy, looked like a younger Wendy Williams, a more vibrant Wendy Williams. And that's how she ended up with the role. And then Morocco was saying, like, he talked to a few people that was associated with Kevin Hunter, but not necessarily, a ton of people. He didn't have any contact with Kevin Hunter. But yeah, he wanted to humanize him, and he wanted to make him, see, like, I guess the human side of it, because, everybody did refer to him and still say he's a monster. He is a thug. So yeah, but overall I thought it was okay. It was an okay entertainment thing to watch. We ain't got much going on right now here with television, especially on the weekends. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Although I am liking the Bell Collective. I've been watching that. I've been actually watching it through YouTube, because I don't have OWN, because for us who have Sling TV, OWN is not part of that, which I need OWN to get their life together. I need OWN to come on and join the Sling TV family so we can watch that, because I know Queen Sugar is coming up starting February 16th. So I told my mom I might be back over there watching them, watching episodes with her, because that's what I did for Greenleaf. I was going over there. We'll make it a Wednesday night, Tuesday night, and watch the show. So I know Queen Sugar's coming back on, but I'm liking Bell Collective. But I really feel like TV is kind of like a dismal right now. Like outside the Housewives of Atlanta, I'm watching The Bachelor right now. But I'm like, outside that, Housewives of Salt Lake City, I think they're getting ready to come to an end. They have their last episode, then they're gonna go into their reunion. But I really didn't think they were like hot and popping like, you know, other of the Housewives series. So yeah, I mean, I feel like TV is kind of slow right now. I know basketball is on their way. Basketball Wives is coming back. Queen Sugar is on his way back. So yeah, and I think Married to Medicine, Atlanta, that's on its way back. So some shows about to come back out, but just feel like TV is sort of dismal right now. So, and then it's snowing outside. It's just a mess. The Rona's still here, and it's just like, I just need this to turn around. Need this to turn around. But nevertheless, Wendy Williams, it was okay. It was all right. You know, if you haven't watched it, watch it. That's it. Like, comment, subscribe. I know I was pretty late, but my plans changed this weekend. So sometimes when life happens, you go with the flow and just do what you do. But that's it. That's all. Like, comment, subscribe. Stay tuned for more videos. Thank you for your continuous support. Peace out.